Anyway,
Yes, okay. So let's get started officially. Again, welcome everyone this morning to our 10 a.m. Thursday 30-minute weekly webinar. Lessons from the lockdown is what we call these, designed just to bring some market updates, what's happening in the world of property investment, and then have a conversation with a couple of property professionals, people who can add value, people who can bring some of their experiences and what they have done and are doing. And people can always take away things and learn and develop, and that's what we're about. So this is obviously co-hosted with myself, David Johnson, CEO of Leo Crowdfunding, and Mr. John Corey of Property Fortress.
I do like the new logo and the learn, earn, own focus, that it's an opportunity for people to invest in very small increments as they're learning, and they emotionally are actually in the deal rather than buying another course.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you think education, in anything in life, there's a value to it, learning about. But if you can also be hands-on practical, seeing what's happening in developments, obviously earning some income potentially, as well as learning all at the same time, there's obviously definite value in that. So,
well, your retention is so much higher when you're actually doing. So,
that's a good point. Very good point. Okay, so we always have a start with a little bit of market update, and I think we can't do a webinar in the world of property crowdfunding without commenting, at least at a high level, John, on events of the last week. It's obviously fair to say it's been a week that probably a lot of people didn't foresee a few months ago, but probably a number of different factors have come together. And there are a number of companies in this space who no longer have a license for probably a number of reasons. But as someone who's kind of in the loop, finger on the pulse, what's your sort of take on the last week and a half or so?
So I think it is fair to say it's a lot of people didn't see it coming. Similar to the pandemic, very few people saw that coming. You could argue Bill Gates and a few others did, but most people didn't. So most people weren't prepared. Second, I would say that the FCA was very clear with their temporary intervention last end of November, start in January, that they need to see some things change. This was not specific to crowdfunding, but it had to do with fundraising, and particularly for property deals. And then they released their consultation paper in June for making that temporary intervention basically permanent. They expanded the scope. They clarified that it's definitely much more about property investment deals and other things that are tied to the success of something in the future. And by the way, in a pandemic environment, it's a little hard to know what the future might look like. And then this general, what I've been calling a cull of a lot of the property platforms, crowdfunding platforms, I see that as sort of a natural occurrence, that as something new comes out in the tech world, you have a lot of operators, a lot of players trying different models, and then it shrinks. That's as people figure out what works, what doesn't work, or what the market really wants. And then you flip it on the other side, which says the FCA wants to see probably a simplified version of crowdfunding, because a lot of the investors, it appears, don't really understand what they're investing in. So it's harder for those people to make smart decisions, which is why I encourage people to put in really tiny amounts to get their feet wet, to start to learn, and the whole learn, earn, own process.
I think it's a really good point that very often we, as inverted commas property professionals, look at the property market, the whole investment market, the FCA, through our glasses of experience and understanding of different models, whereas really what the regulation and compliance is primarily about is really looking at the retail investor out there who probably has minimal experience and knowledge in investment in general and property investment. So they look at deals completely differently than we might as property professionals.
Almost by definition, because they clearly have less experience and haven't taken classes and haven't already done a bunch of deals. The other side is in 2014, when PS 14.4 came out, the FCA basically said, this is how we want you to promote deals over the internet. And that is literally their regulations for the start of crowdfunding for financial gain. And they recognize that there's social media, there's lots of people communicating, that people finding each other. So they're trying to channel that energy in a positive way. And they're trying to give people a way to identify and find opportunities, and people that have opportunities to raise money. but there's still this learning curve. There's still this sort of getting acclimated to how it works, what it means, what the risks are. There is no protection. Capital is completely at risk when you make these investments. This is not in any way, shape, or form protected from loss. So people need to like come up that curve. And I think the platforms can play a role in educating people to do that.
Yeah, and as we indicated a few weeks ago when we did the sort of brand revamp, we're very much going to be focusing on equity. I know the term vanilla gets used a lot, but just simple, straightforward equity is very much as a platform what we want to focus on. It seems the areas of sort of liquid securities and things like bonds and preference shares, maybe the more complicated structures, shall we say, is perhaps where the uncertainty and confusion comes in. So I think it's important just to be dealing basics.
And you could say equity is another way. Think of it, when the people in the property trading world, we tend to talk about loans, borrowing money for a deal, and also joint ventures. So the equity is more for when you're joint venturing.
Very much so. Okay, well that's
if there are questions from anyone, do post them in the Q&A. We'll be watching that as we go forward today.
Yep, indeed. Okay, let's get on with our guest today, because I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Hietesh and Ryan. I would just he's referred to him as Ray for short. He prefers that. So if you guys can come off your mute buttons and turn your cameras on, that would be very helpful. I'll give a quick sort of high-level introduction, and then we'll let you loose with a series of questions and points. So Hietesh and Ray run a company called CURATIONTECH99. They both come from a lot of experience in the world of property investment. Hietesh particularly in the Indian market, a lot of specialists around warehousing and commercial premises, dealing with a lot of very high-end brands, global brands. And then Ray is very much experienced here in the UK on the construction side, project management for various clients, and really brings that, I think, level of expertise. So I know, John, you and the guys have been doing some stuff over the last number of months, and I just thought it'd be really interesting to talk about the adding value, which is one thing that I found interesting when we met them. So I'll leave it open first of all for Hietesh and Ray just to say hello, give a minute or two on your background, why you like property, and then we'll get into the topic for today. So welcome, guys, very much. And if Ray, if you can hear, if you can obviously come on your camera and unmute yourself, please.
He likes to hide.
Hi, good morning, everyone. This
Morning.
is Hietesh this side.
Ray on this side, but unable to start the camera for some reason.
That may be my end. Okay, that's okay. Hietesh, you go first.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Just wanted to introduce myself and Ray to start off with. I'm a civil engineer with 14 years of experience behind me. Moved to the UK last year, and that's when me and Ray started this venture of ours. What we're going to discuss today is regarding a potential investment scheme that we have for a property of ours. We've looked at many properties over the last, 8 months now, Ray? And, we were looking for something with planning, and that's what we've got in Nuneaton, CV109NZ, Blau Hill View. That's our project. And, basically, our next 3 to 4 slides are going to be.
I think right here, the key, Hietesh, you're on mute. I think right now the key is Hietesh, civil engineer, worked in large projects, multiple countries. And Ray, you have more of a residential development background, multi-generational.
Yeah, that's right.
In the UK, right?
That's right. So, I mean, my background is obviously 10 years, 15, 12 years plus in project management, construction industry, mainly family orientated. So seeing all the start of obviously general refurbishments, conversions, and developments in the residential sector. And like Hietesh said, it was really looking for our first project together, and really bringing the skills and the knowledge that we had between ourselves, start really a project with planning permission and
Cool.
see how we could add value to that. And like Hitesh mentioned, we went through many sites, conducting due diligence, speaking to local agents, understanding what the market was offering, and really seeing what we could do to add value to any development that we were going to be taking on board. And then finally, we ended up with this particular project.
So let's jump to the project, actually.
Yeah.
Um,
So it's a 5-house project on a nearly 0.4 acre site in Nuneaton. And the way we look at this project is we got the project with planning, but we went into certain variations to add value to the project. The value that we've added is, as you can see on the screen, we have bigger rooms than the average size in the area, or generally in the UK. We're using home automation, which we're calling the smart technology. We are using an anti-fungal, antibacterial, anti-viral treatment to our plaster, to our paints, to our flooring that we're going to be using. That is primarily because of the current scenario that we're in, and also because of a certain discussion that we've been having with this company called Microfresh for the last 4 months. And it was only in May 2020 that Microfresh came up with the product and discussed HomeFresh with us. So HomeFresh in the UK will be launched for basically construction material to be treated for antifungal, bacterial, and viral infections.
Yeah.
Now that said,
if we, sorry to put in there, we obviously have a slide on that. So let's work through each of the 3 sections first, then you can go into detail on the antifungal. So just to sort of set this up. So just
we can
set
go
this
on
up.
to the next.
Just to set this up initially, just to explain, obviously as Hitesh and John's mentioned, Curation Tech have a project that is currently coming soon on our platform that will go to view deal very quickly and let people actually see the details. Today, what we're looking to do is really focus on the
David,
value of this. Value add, yes, John?
Explain to the audience what coming soon means versus view deal.
Okay, I'll do that at the end, for the slide at the end for that. So we'll cover that at the end. So it was just to put that context that there's a deal where the deal we're talking about is a real deal in terms of what's coming, and we'll explain how you can access that. But the key value of the webinar today is the guys are going to explain their philosophy and how they add value to a development in these 3 ways, and that's the key thing for today. So first thing is room size. So I'll hand back over to Hietesh and Ray. What is it about increasing the size of room that you feel adds the value, and why you go this route?
So I'll start with yes, Ray, go on.
Yeah, we all, well, I've come from obviously a large family background, and any development that we tend to look at, we always look at how can we add extra space for the person, for family members, as we say. So from our point of view, having a young family, everyone looks, especially at, me and my partner, we look for me time. Our children's look for playtime. So, we look at a property or a development, and we say, how can we make that more sort of family friendly for us, and try to implement those ideas into how can we increase the sizes or add value to each individual room, giving everyone their own space. And I think that's very important when we look at any development, especially going forward, as there's a lot of growing families, and this is what we obviously look to add. And when we look at any development, with this particular one, we went when we looked at obviously initial planning and the planning that was already in place. The architect and myself and Hitesh, we sat down and we really looked how can we utilize the space in a better format for families, and growing families. And the architect ourselves, we stripped each individual floor down. We looked at the floor plan. We basically made sure that we could increase the lounge size, make it more of a family open plan dining area, give the rooms obviously a larger feel. So, increase the window sizes purely because of the light aspect of it. and plus obviously the site being north facing, so the sun would rise up on the north, settle on the southwest, having the larger windows, and obviously, you know, putting more light into the property was very important for us, purely because I think people want that open feel nowadays, and it's having that open
and
feel
to be honest,
and
Ray,
the larger space.
if I may
Yes.
add, all of this did result in some amount of addition to our total budget, is because we have larger windows, which in the UK is debated a lot because they look like summer homes, is what I was told. But we went in with UPVC insulated windows. We're doing cladding, we're doing insulation, not only on the walls and the cladding, but also on our floors. We're using underfloor heating for our open plan on the ground floor, apart from the home automation system, which, to be honest, it's not at par. It's above average for what you find in an area like Nuneaton, in and around it, with whatever property searches that we did. So when we talk about better lifestyle, bigger windows and larger rooms on this slide, when we say bigger windows, does not mean we are losing any amount of heat index from within the house. We have a fully insulated house to ourselves. It looks like a summer home. We're happy about that, but it really feels like a home. You can live through it through the 12 months is the way it is being designed. Yes, it comes at a cost, which we agreed at a certain stage, and we're going ahead with it. So yes, I was about to talk about the smart technology. The reason that we're doing this, to be honest, is because back in India, we have a business where we do this exclusively. We do this for offices, we do this for homes, we do this for cottages. And we're just bringing that technology here. We have the software with us. We're just importing the hardware back from India and installing it here. It's just basically smarter switches, which and LED lights. They talk to your handheld device. That could be an iPad, a touch phone, could be a laptop. So whether you're at home, whether you're outside, I know most of you would know how home automation works. It's as simple as that. There's nothing special about home automation, but we are adding this feature right at the very concept stage of the build.
I mean, just to get in here, Hitesh, I mean, as a lot of people are aware, home automation, smart technology is always available, but more on the luxury build aspect of it.
That's
the higher end value, the higher you know, the higher basically developments, as we say.
What
we're trying to do is bring
a very affordable market.
I think guys,
that's important for us.
Ray, just one second, let me jump in there. So I think you've hit a very, very good point, and that is that most people are aware of the whole smart technology, and you see it in films, and you might see it in magazines and featured on the internet. I think what you guys have done a little bit different is you're kind of deliberately trying to bring that to what you might call the average home, you know, the ordinary home that a family will move into, and trying to, from the concept stage, sort of build all this technology in, which means I like the term you have there, future proof. I like that term because as technology advances, if you've taken the time to integrate at the start, well, then you're in a really good place compared to trying to do it afterwards.
Well, as you know, David, a lot of things that we do now is online. You know, how many times are we on our phone during the day? You know, what we use it for most of our sort of day-to-day runnings. You know, and I think technology, especially smart technology, it needs to come to the forefront of you know, affordable living. You know.
So just going back to the point where the use of smart technology in our homes that we are building, we took that decision is because we were building bigger homes. Bigger homes needs a lot more management of the energy usage, and that's why we brought in this at a very affordable price. There is not an exponential increase in the cost that we are incurring, but yes, it is something that we thought is a must-have.
Brilliant. Okay. Again, to remind everyone, if you have any questions on that, or again any comments on that, put them into the Q&A, and we can share that with the audience. So that's the first two: bigger room sizes, technology, smart technology. The third one, which I found quite interesting when I read through some of your documents, was this antifungal treatment. So I definitely want you to explain the concept behind this, and I suppose the big one that jumps out on the slide is that this has a tested efficacy,
Yeah.
not only about E. coli and MRSA, but COVID-19. When I first saw that, I thought, oh, where's the documentation? But you did provide the ISO, the testing, the independent verification that actually this antifungal treatment does have an impact on viruses like that. So yeah, explain how this came about and what this actually does.
So we've been working with Microfresh Microfresh is a UK company, and Byron is the chemist basically. So Byron Dixon is the chemist behind Microfresh for the last 4 months now. And we understand the technology very well. We have the mandate to sell it in India, Pakistan, Turkey, and etc. All of that is a background study to it. But our dialogues did mature to a stage where we came to know about HomeFresh and how this technology has been tested recently for even COVID-19, apart from the E. coli and the MRSA and all the other antibacterial and antiviral that it had been tested for. So the ISO 18184 is specifically for that. This product has been used in plasters, in paints, in textiles, to be honest, which means it can be used in flooring, which is hardwood, and carpet, can be used on your walls, can be used on your roofs. Then again, it's an added cost, but Ray and I, we decided in May that let's just go ahead with it and add this cost to us, even if the market doesn't allow to pay us any further from a certain benchmark that we've taken as a GDV, is because Ray has a small kid. I recently moved to the UK because we just started a family. We just had a baby in May, and it just makes more sense in the world that we live in to have something at least within your homes, which you can say this is safe. It is technically safe as well. Yes, home is where you feel the safest, but it is technically safe. You have certifications for it. You go to the Microfresh website, you won't really see the COVID there, anti-COVID or anti-viral, as they say, because that they can't claim that in the UK because that makes them a drug company, whereas they're not a drug company. But they have all the certifications in place to show that's anti-COVID. So they can market themselves, but not claim it, just make sure that they don't break laws. So we've decided to go ahead with it and to make sure that our customers or people who actually come and start living in here feel safer than ever, basically. Mm-hmm. All documentation, as David mentioned, can be provided on request as and when we move forward.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's again very, very interesting. And I think.
So David, there's a question.
Yep. Do you want to take it?
Well, just either of us, but it's literally on this topic. Do you have any sense of what the extra cost is for either the automation technology when it comes to cost per square foot, or actually even this antifungal treatment because you're applying it throughout the whole home?
So cost of technology per square feet will be so minimal that it's not worth it. It's a per house, you would be spending about a little more than 3,000 sterling.
Just over, that's right.
Just over 3,000 sterlings. And that's the delta difference, because you are spending money to buy switches and sockets, right? Mm-hmm. All you need to make sure is if you're buying it for £1, you're spending £1.10 for buying the switch and the socket that actually talks to the technology. So you're spending another 10% or 20%, that's it. The software comes in at a reasonable cost. It's an Android-based technology, gets upgraded almost every 3 to 6 months. And you just have to be aware about the fact that you keep upgrading your technology.
So there's a service plan for ongoing use of the software? Okay.
Yeah.
So the homeowner will pay a service plan if they want to, or they can opt out, but they still have the ability to use the devices. Okay.
All your radiators, all your heating devices, that is, will talk to this technology as well.
Okay.
There's a question in here, Hietesh, as to where is the technology originated from? So is that, where have you accessed this from, or what technology?
Boom. I can get back to, I do have an answer to it, but I need to make sure that I give the right answer. We can get back. I think it's Australia. That's where we got the technology from, but the software is from India. So the hardware technology came to us from Australia. A friend of ours did levy us that, and that's when we took the dealership of it. But the software is definitely Indian because the tech is based out of Bangalore.
Hmm.
as is the world stick.
And
Wait,
the
so-
Microfresh is UK.
UK, yeah, Microfresh is
Depending on what technology they were
100%.
asking about. Yep. Okay.
yeah, 100% UK.
Very good. Well, we actually have an Australian on the webinar today, so you might be interested to find out more about that. Okay, so listen, sort of summarizing this then, we're down to about the last 4 or 5 minutes of the webinar. So I think what we've shown today is that rather than just being a standard sort of developer, just doing what everyone else does, you guys have this thought process of how do we make our developments different? How do we make them better? How do we make them more attractive? And these are the 3 things that you do.
Yep. So, and to be honest, none of these 3 things cost you after you buy land. After you buy land, they're just adding value to the property at a minimal cost. We did not increase the square footage of the total build. Planning won't allow that. Within the total footage that we had as planning approved, we tried to move around with the rooms slightly so that we have bigger rooms to move into, and you have space around your bed to walk.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. No, that's absolutely fine. Okay. This is obviously as a timber frame. I know, John, I've heard you in the past discussing sort of ordinary build versus timber frame. Any observations or comments on that?
Just let me do a cultural thing. So when you say ordinary build versus timber frame, it depends on where you are in the world. Timber frame is ordinary, and its block is the weird one, other than Florida for hurricanes or Britain because you cut all your trees down. So
John, it also depends whether you're putting the ordinary build above the timber frame or the ordinary build below the timber frame.
Yeah. So it's an alternative way of constructing homes. It's pretty popular in the UK, but it is niche compared to what has classically been done, the block construction. You're using timber frame for this, as I discussed offline about it. And it gives you some flexibility in terms of build times and other things. So can you explain the benefits?
See, I come from a core concrete background. I come from India. It's our first project in India. So timber frame, to me, to be honest, was an alien to me. I visited many sites to observe timber frames myself and to see how it's built. And to be honest, I was sold to the idea after a couple of site visits myself. Yes, everybody knows it's a quicker build. You save time and you can hand over properties much quicker. And it is much more
This is the timber frame is quicker?
Timber frame is quicker. I'm talking about timber frame because it was new to me as well. And I know you come from a background where timber frame is 100% natural, right? So it comes to you naturally. But it is so much less wastage, both on site and generally. The site is much cleaner, and you use just as much timber because everything now is automized, and timber frame is basically built in factories. I've visited factories, and so it's just basically, John, to answer your question, it's less wastage, quicker build, and the site is easy to clear after that. And there's no concrete, no aggregate, no natural produce is used in the site majorly, which cannot be regrown after that. You use aggregates, you can't redo them. You use them, you exhaust it. Timber, the way it is being sourced here, you cut a tree, you plant 2 trees. I know it's easier said than done, but that's how it's happening. The only thing that UK, I feel, is lagging behind is what I've been told is UK does not have its own timber. So that's the only, kind of a gray area where every timber for the house is being imported from, Portugal and other areas and from East Europe as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, thank you very much. We're literally run out of time. That's a discussion that we could probably have spent another couple of hours on, the different.
Yeah, definitely.
There is one
a question
that I'd like to see addressed. The question is the treatment, the microfresh treatment, is that a permanent treatment done once and it lasts forever or for some period? Or
they claim 10 years, to be honest, John. Nobody has tested it for 10 years. They claim 10 years. It can be redone very easily to floors and to paints, cannot be redone in plasters. Whenever you're repainting your house in a year, 2 years, you just add that product to the paint and then paint it all over again. Highly recommended for our build or for anybody else who's painting their house, to be honest.
So even remodels, yes, anybody that wants to upgrade or treat their existing home
can get in touch. can get in touch with us in case they want more information on this product.
Brilliant. Okay, listen, thank you very much. And that's a perfect time just to wrap it up in terms of more information. So currently, as you can see on the slide, this project is what's called coming soon on our platform. And that means that currently all that can be accessed is what you can see on the screen now. There's been obviously the due diligence being done, the preparation of the documents, a load of stuff. So obviously even things like the home fresh we're talking about, that all has to be documented and verified before we'll allow that on the platform. So we are literally about to go what we call view deal. So view deal means that the band along the bottom will change, the color will change to blue, and people can then access all the information about the project. There's an offer document, additional documents, and like a landing page, pitch page, which gives you the overview on the project. So it's 5 houses being built near Nuneaton, just outside the village of Nuneaton, and all the information you'll be able to access from the platform once you're registered. So sort of keep an eye out for that. Those who are already on our emailing investor base, you'll obviously get an email about that. Other people can just stay tuned to social media or just keep watching out on our platform. But we're certainly excited as a platform to have this project. It's great to be working with Hietesh and Ray. I think people can see from the call today, they're experienced guys, they understand build, they understand the property market, and we were certainly looking forward to doing the pre-launch and then going live. So there's also a webinar happening next Thursday night at 7 p.m. and Hietesh and Ray will be on that and have an opportunity to go into more detail on some of the things we've discussed now, as well as getting into the investment side, which we haven't covered today in terms of their projected returns, etc. So that's all happening next Thursday at 7 p.m. But in the meantime, Hietesh and Ray, thank you very, very much for your time. Appreciate you, David.
Thank you so much for having us, David. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you, everyone.
And that's grand. Yeah, and that's literally all I need to do is just say thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of the week. And of course, above all, in the current climate, as I always say, stay safe. All the best, everyone.
Thank you.